Hi everyone, something new for you today, a new addition to the family, my daily driver. I have been obviously using my van as my daily, which crazy as it sounds isn't very practical. It's immensely practical in some respects, however it's really big, it uses quite a bit of fuel, a bit of a nightmare to park, so I've been needing a run around, so I've got a run around, so I'd like to introduce you all to Oscar. And here is Oscar. He is a Ford Fusion, 90,000 miles, the cheapest of motoring, it was free. Actually a really good drive, automatic, nippier than you'd think, really practical, with loads of room in the back when the seats go down. So we'll do a quick walk around, which if you've seen one before, you've seen them all, you know what I mean. It's covered in battle scars, you know, it's a Fusion. What I do like though is, in homage to all Fords, it does have the factory option gaffer tape. Now those of you of a certain age will remember pre-2010 the original Ford Mondeo, the Series 1 Mondeo. Whenever you saw one on the road, it would always have gaffer tape on the bumper. Like, you would not see one without gaffer tape on the bumper. I'm certain it was a factory option. You could have silver or you could have black. Now obviously these are considered classic cars, so you just don't see them on the road, but yeah, always wondered why every Mondeo had gaffer tape on the bumper. Maybe someone could put in the comments to me as to why. So we're going to do a little road test and a review. We can see how Oscar goes. Okay, so on the inside, air conditioning, electric windows, electric mirrors. This car has none of these. It even has a tape player still. Amazing. It's quite nostalgic, I think, because, you know, I remember a time when all cars were like this, you know, and this must have been at the very end of when, you know, things like that changed, and, you know, those little luxuries that we all have became standard. But as you can see, it's an auto. I do prefer an automatic, I'll be honest with you. It's just easier. But let's get it on the road and see how it goes. So there we go. Purrs like a kitten. Good old Oscar. You probably will see me start to sweat profusely because no aircon, and I'm going to have the windows closed because of the microphone situation. So you will see me getting sweatier and sweatier as we progress. So here we go. Slip it into drive. Like I say, love an automatic, and off we go. Now, what I've found with all Fords, especially like newer one, well, we're saying newer, you know, past 20 years, is they seem to have very quick steering racks. You know, by and by, if you don't know what I mean by that, is your input on the steering wheel is very direct as such. And I found the Ford Focus Mark II was the worst for this. I found it a very nervous ride at motorway speeds, because with a slower rack at motorway speeds, you know what I mean, a little input on the steering wheel isn't going to massively change the direction of the car. Now, the more, I suppose, premium models of Ford, because I have had a few Mondeos, you have sort of speed sensitive power steering, so the faster you go, the steering will become heavier, so it sort of offsets that issue that you have with the quick steering racks. Now, town driving, a quick steering rack's brilliant, obviously nipping around corners and things, but the downside of that is you have a naff turning circle, and this, for such a small car, has an appalling turning circle. I think my van has a better turning circle. But as you can see, I mean, 90,000 miles, it's been looked after to a degree. It drives lovely, it soaks up the bumps, there's no bangs, there's no rattles. It's quite an engaging drive. When I first started driving, I got a brand new Vauxhall Corsa. It was on a 2003, and obviously my choice then would have been a Fiesta or a Corsa, and I went with the Corsa because I thought it was a better looking car. But I would say that the Fiesta, which this is based on, is a far better car to drive. It pains me to say that because I'm not really a Ford fan, but it is what it is. They are a better drive. I just gotta let these people cross the road because I'm a nice person. There we go. Now, a funny one, well, not a funny one. When I picked up the car, the rear view mirror wasn't on. There's like a coupling that holds it on, and it had broken. I've managed to glue it on. When I first started driving it, it didn't really bother me because obviously I drive a van and I haven't got a rear view mirror, so you know, it's no issue to me. But the day that I glued the mirror on, yeah, I was on the M60, about to come onto the M62. I was heading home, and traffic around that bit of the motorway at rush hour is an absolute nightmare, yeah. And everything started stopping, so I'm slowing down to a stop, and I've glanced in the mirror, and there's some complete idiot behind me in a red, I don't know, something, yeah. And like, I'm looking, and I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to slow down. I'm like looking at it in the mirror, and he's getting closer and closer, like the speed he's going, I'm thinking, he's going to hit me. And like, I could see it, it's getting closer, it's getting faster, and I'm like, this is gonna do me in, this is gonna hurt. And I've already had like one pretty bad accident. I don't want another one. And fortunately, this was a section of the motorway that still actually had a hard shoulder. Yeah. So I managed to pull across to the hard shoulder, and he's come screeching to a halt, and he's pretty much adjacent to me, yeah. And like, I thought he was going to hit the car that was in front of me. You know, it wouldn't have been as bad for them because he would have had a bit more stopping distance. But I just thought, you utter prat, yeah. And then he's like signalled for me to go again. He's still behind me. Twat's nearly done it again, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't want this bloke behind me. I really don't want him behind me, yeah. So I've moved over a lane for him to go past. He shot right up the arse of the next car. Right, and it's just like, people like that are just so dangerous on the roads. And then what gets me with this is, when I picked this car up, it hadn't been washed in years yet, so it's a bit of a sorry state. I had the police start following me, right? Obviously, because it's an old car and it's in a bit of a state. So I just clocked them in the side mirror. Look, they were hanging back. And they're following me, right? And I'm thinking, like, why are you following me? I'm insured and taxed. You know, there's nothing illegal going on here. It's just purely because of the car. Now, I haven't got a problem with the police. However, I feel massively let down by the police because, you know what I mean, nothing that happened to me was investigated. Yet there's a priority to follow around old-looking cars. And okay, maybe this is immature, but I thought, oh, I'm going to fuck with you then. Sod it, yeah? So, I've started indicating that I'm going to take the next left. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to take the left. I'm going to take right, I'll take the right. I've kept doing that for a while, left, right. Then we've come to traffic lights, and even though it's an automatic, I've like tried to make it like so it's kangarooing. And I took them sort of on a magical mystery tour, and I think they twigged. I was fucking with them, yeah, because they didn't pull me over, they just shot past me in the end. I know it's really immature, but I just thought, no, after everything, I'm gonna fuck with you. Which, no disrespect to anyone who's a police officer, I appreciate you are a person. Just like I say, I feel massively let down by what happened to me. And yet, there's idiots like that on the motorway network. They're not stopped and they're everywhere. But you know, let's follow around an old car. Let's give me 4 points for speeding. You know what I mean? Why isn't the police looking at these dangerous drivers on the motorway that are nearly causing pile-ups? Sorry, ran over. Quick pause because I've just pulled into the petrol station and need to go to Cash Point. And we're back in the room. Continue our little road test. I am made up with this vehicle, I really am. Moira, if you do see this, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. Oscar's he's a dream. He really is. And it's the great thing, like a lot of people will agree, like with cheap motoring, it's not so much that you don't care about the vehicle, but it's, you know what I mean, if someone dings into this in the car park, I'm not really going to care. You know what I mean, if a wing mirror gets knocked off, it's going to cost me all of a £5 to get a new one. So these are the perks of cheap motoring. And well, there's not really such a thing as cheap motoring now, because cars have got so expensive, the used car market, you know, cars that, you know what I mean, used to be a couple of £100, you know, now if something's got 12 months MOT, it's worth £1,000 regardless of condition. So the used car market has just gone crazy, it really has. And you know, a few years ago, before the used car market was as it was now, poor little Oscar here would have probably just been scrapped. But you know, his MOT's up in August. There's a few bits that I need to do in order to make sure he goes through. It's nothing major, and you know, he'll be on the road for another year. I'll give him a service. There's no rust underneath him, which for a Ford is pretty unusual. But yeah, he's done really well. Like I say, as you can hear, it drives lovely. It really does. And we've got some traffic lights and a bit of space in front of us here, so we'll do a pull. I say pull. You know, this isn't going to light your pants on fire. It really isn't. But it's a lot nippier than I thought it'd be. Put it that way. Incidentally, my van, it's the 2.3 turbo diesel Fiat Ducato. Here we go. Right, we're off. A little bit of wheel spin. And that's the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit that we can't go above. But yeah, not bad, eh? But no, back to what I was saying. Yeah, my van, which is the 2.3 Fiat Ducato, I think it's the 130 horsepower model. The thing flies. I mean, it absolutely flies. First gear, I don't know why it has first gear, because it's so short, it's pointless. Yeah, so pretty much like majority of the time you just pull away in second. And it has a like a thing with first gear as well, where you don't really get any turbo boost in first. I think it's because it would just spin the wheels up because the gear's so short. Whereas in second, the boost does come on. So you can pull away in second if you get the revs right, and the way that it leaves things would really surprise you. It really would. And I'm not going to say how fast I've driven it, yeah. However, if I had have done that on a public road, I would easily be banned from driving, put it that way. And if I had have done that on a public road that didn't have much traffic, and it was the time of day where there wasn't people around, and there was plenty of visibility, then yeah, I probably would have got banned. But you know, we don't do that. And little Oscar here, he's more than comfortable at motorway speeds, and you know, should you need to overtake in a hurry, he's got the ability to do so. So all in all, very, very happy with little Oscar. I really am. As you can see, it just puts a little smile on my face. It's just really engaging to drive. It really is. You could just chuck it around. I used to have I loved this car. I had a Polo GT, the bread van style. It was a 1.3. You know, it had all of about 75 horsepower. Weight nothing. Yeah. And no power steering either, which is they made it one of the best handling cars I'd ever driven, because you could feel everything. But with that, you could just drive it on the limit, yeah, and you could have so much fun. But like, you're not going at any sort of speed where you're going to get yourself in trouble. You go down a country lane and you'd just be driving the arse off the damn thing, like having the best time of your life. And you know, you'd barely be going over 40 miles an hour. You know, I've had some, not going to be one of them, but I've had some, you know, real high performance cars over the years, and yeah, it's nice to have all that power, but you know, you can't use it. You really can't. You know, I had an AMG Mercedes, and the thing was rapid, and I mean rapid, but You know what I mean? You can still only drive it at 70 mile an hour. Still just as, you know, everything else on the road's just as quick. But no, I'm not going to be one of those that says, oh, why do you have supercars? Because you can't drive them on the roads like they're supposed to be driven and all of that. Because no, you know, people have these things because they can have these things and they like these things. But here we go, we're on the motorway now, and we're up to motorway speeds. Little Oscar, he is doing just fine. Not a great deal of noise really. I'll say for an old car, brilliant, truly brilliant. Anyway, that wraps up our little road test. Big love everyone, and see you soon.